in Hollywood, it was after I did Coach Carter. And I saw Eddie Murphy and Johnny Gill tongue kissing. Oh. And this is like out in public.
Doing things behind closed doors like Eddie Murphy, who knows me very well.
So I was walking down the stairs and they were kissing at the bottom of the banister, like, and I'm like, damn, the Nutty Professor really is nutty.
That's the only way I know to get at you.
Huh? I don't think you're getting at me, but you ran her out.
No. What about Eddie Murphy?
Did I pull his tights down too?
I heard that you did. Now, seriously, there's a rumor, and I want to know about it.
There's a rumor about you and Sandra Bernhard, but I didn't ask you.
Do you believe Eddie Murphy was going to find a book to read at 4 a.m. with his wife gone out overseas? I mean, just from your experience.
Eddie Murphy, that's... Eddie Murphy, I watch all his movies, man, but man, you don't accidentally pick up a transvestite. You know what I'm saying? That ain't happening, man. You know what I'm saying?
What? Drag queen goes to bed with Eddie Murphy? Right. He's straight. I went, oh, please. Give me one.
You might think you've heard it all about Eddie Murphy, the comedy legend who ruled Hollywood for decades. But what's unfolding now is absolutely wild. Eddie's ex-wife, Nicole Murphy, just dropped some bombshell claims that nobody saw coming. She's painting a whole new picture of how he climbed to the top, and her words have fans completely stunned. Nicole straight up said that Eddie bent over for Diddy. That single line has sent shockwaves through the industry. It's not just gossip, it's a doorway into the secret side of Hollywood that's usually hidden from the public eye. Eddie's career has always been seen as pure talent and charisma, but Nicole's pulling the curtain back and hinting that fame in this town might come with a heavy price. For years, Eddie's been celebrated as one of the greatest, from Coming to America to Beverly Hills Cop. His name's been gold. But now Nicole's saying that what pushed him into superstardom wasn't just hard work or luck, it was his deep connection with Diddy, one of the most powerful men in entertainment. She's implying that Diddy's influence wasn't just friendly support, it might have been the real engine behind Eddie's unstoppable rise. Diddy's empire stretches across music, film, and fashion. The man's connected everywhere. Having his backing is like getting a golden ticket in Hollywood. Nicole's claims suggest Eddie didn't just benefit from friendship. There might have been arrangements and favors that flipped the whole game in his favor. That's why these revelations are hitting so hard, because if true, it means Eddie's success story may not be as clean as it always looked. This exposes a darker reality about fame, that in Hollywood, power can sometimes outrank pure talent. Behind the red carpets and flashing cameras, there's a web of deals, alliances, and secrets that most people never see. And now with Nicole's words lighting up social media, Eddie's image as untouchable is starting to crack under the pressure. Nicole's not just sharing old gossip, she's questioning the very system that built her ex-husband's empire. Her revelations are forcing people to rethink what success really looks like in this cutthroat industry. Is it all about talent and hustle? Or is it about who you're connected to and what you're willing to do to stay in the circle of power? Eddie's now facing the biggest challenge of his career, protecting a legacy built on decades of fame, laughter, and box office hits. Nicole's words cut deeper than just personal drama. They shake the foundation of how Hollywood's elite are made. People are whispering, wondering if this could be the start of a whole new conversation about the price of power in show business. And Nicole isn't holding back either. She's stepping into the spotlight again, reigniting the long-rumored tales about Eddie's wild 90s lifestyle. For years, people talked about his late-night adventures and unpredictable behavior, but Nicole's now revealing the truth behind the whispers. She says living with Eddie during his peak wasn't glamorous. It was chaos dressed in luxury. According to her, Eddie wasn't just out having fun. He was deep in a storm of wild parties, endless events, and Hollywood madness that never seemed to end. Nicole describes nights filled with people, noise, and temptation, a world far from the family image Eddie once projected. What she's sharing paints a picture of fame at its most dangerous, exciting, messy, and completely out of control. And now the question everyone's asking is, how much of Eddie's empire was built on talent? And how much on the secret deals and alliances that Nicole says kept him on top? As Nicole puts it, there were moments that involved Eddie crossing paths with all kinds of well-known figures, including male celebrities and even transgender escorts, showing a secret side of him the world never really saw. These stories paint a picture completely different from the polished family man image fans had grown up believing in. It's like discovering there were two Eddies, the superstar the cameras loved and the one battling his own private chaos behind closed doors. Nicole and Eddie's love story started back in the late 1980s when fame was exploding around them. Their chemistry was undeniable. They moved in together fast, had their first daughter Bria, and seemed like Hollywood's golden couple. Everyone thought they'd cracked the code to balancing fame, love, and family, but behind those smiles and red carpet moments, the tension was quietly building. As the years rolled on, the fairy tale started to fade. Their worlds were drifting apart. Eddie was wrapped up in the spotlight, while Nicole was trying to hold down a sense of normalcy. By 2005, when the couple finally called it quits, the news shocked everyone. Fans couldn't believe it. They looked like the one celebrity marriage that could actually last. But both admitted their lifestyles and priorities had taken them in totally different directions, leaving them no way back. After the divorce, Nicole had her own storm to face. The media tore her apart, calling her a gold digger after she received a massive settlement. Every move she made was judged, and a few messy headlines, including that infamous affair that had the tabloids buzzing, only made it worse. The world was watching, but Nicole refused to crumble under the pressure. Eddie, never one to stay quiet, publicly called her out, saying her actions embarrassed him. But Nicole didn't back down for a second. She clapped back with confidence, saying she had every right to speak her truth. And when critics tried to shame her for keeping the Murphy name, she made it clear. That name isn't just about fame or money, it's about the family she built. I earned that name, she said, and it's part of who I am. That statement turned heads and showed just how much pride she still carries in the legacy they created together. Meanwhile, Eddie's reputation as Hollywood's ultimate party man kept growing. His nightlife escapades became the stuff of legend. From lavish parties to whirlwind flings, it seemed like he was chasing excitement wherever he went. But behind the laughter and charm, there were whispers of something deeper. A man who couldn't sit still, constantly running from commitment and hiding his true emotions under the spotlight. His love life was like a roller coaster, the fast, flashy, and always ending in chaos. One of his most talked about romances was with Whitney Houston, and according to people close to her, that relationship was fiery but painful. Friends claim Eddie made cutting remarks and eventually left Whitney heartbroken, a wound that never fully healed. Even after his split with Nicole, the drama didn't stop. Eddie's name kept popping up in headlines, especially when he denied being the father of Mel B's daughter, even though the little girl was born on his birthday. That public denial turned into one of the biggest scandals of his career and left fans wondering what was really going on in Eddie's world. Over time, a pattern became clear. Intense love stories that burned bright and then crashed hard. Some even believed that Eddie's parade of relationships was a way to protect something more personal, a smokescreen to keep the spotlight off the parts of his life he didn't want exposed. Whether that's true or not, Nicole's new claims have given people a lot to think about. Her revelations don't just reopen old wounds, they rewrite how we see Eddie Murphy entirely. The man who made millions laugh might have been fighting his own battles all along. Fame, power, image, all of it tangled up in a web of secrets and survival. Nicole's honesty has brought those hidden sides into focus and reminded the world that even the biggest stars have stories that the cameras never catch. And as more of these details come to light, one thing's for sure, the Eddie Murphy everyone thought they knew might not be the whole story at all. Eddie Murphy's personal life during the height of his fame was anything but simple, and one night in 1997 nearly blew it all up. That year, whispers turned into headlines after a late-night traffic stop in West Hollywood spiraled into one of the biggest scandals of his career. The shocker? It wasn't about what he did behind the wheel. It was about who was sitting beside him. In the passenger seat was a young transgender woman named Atisone Shalimar Seeley, and the moment her name hit the press, chaos erupted. Suddenly, Eddie's name was everywhere. Tabloids, talk shows, late-night monologues, everyone had something to say. The image of America's favorite funny man was now tangled up in a controversy that could have easily ended his Hollywood reign.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your morality question and your moral fiber question and all that when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand.
Eddie didn't waste any time defending himself. He called it a huge misunderstanding, claiming that night had nothing to do with scandal or secret affairs. According to him, it was simply a random act of kindness gone wrong. He explained that his wife Nicole and their kids were out of town, and he had just gone for a late-night drive to grab something to read from a newsstand. On the way, he saw Shalimar looking upset on Santa Monica Boulevard, and his instinct was to stop and help.
Good Samaritan blew up in my face, basically, with that. Yeah. I'm never giving anyone a lift again.
Eddie insisted he didn't know she was transgender. He just saw someone in distress and offered a ride home. I was just trying to help, he told reporters, frustrated that the media turned it into something dirty. He emphasized that compassion was being mistaken for something scandalous and that the whole thing had twisted his intentions, but the story didn't fade quietly. Police confirmed they had followed Eddie's car for several miles before pulling him over, and that detail alone kept people talking. Even though he wasn't charged with anything, rumors exploded like wildfire. Fans were divided. Some believed him, others thought he was covering up something deeper. Still, Eddie's career somehow survived the storm. And for a while, it looked like Hollywood had moved on.
First of all, man, you know what I'm saying?
Right around.
You know what I'm saying? All the money he got, man, why would you be on the strip picking up a transvestite, whatever you call it? You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that. You know, I think it's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Eddie Murphy, but to me, that's some straight bullshit. Man, listen, man, you know what I'm saying? If I pick up, if I see a man, you know, he dressed like a woman, and I see him, I'm not gonna feel sorry for him.
Yeah, he said he was trying to be a good Samaritan.
But suppose he could be a robber. He might not be a real transvestite. I mean, he could be setting you up. You know, a lot of dudes dress like women and they put makeup on and all this stuff, and they robbing these tricks out here. Because I remember, you know, we had a situation like that on the Blade one time where they was robbing these, we had these dudes who was dressing like women, you know, but they were really armed robbers. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, and then, you don't pick up, I wouldn't even pick up a little kid, man. I mean, you don't pick up nobody and you a superstar. You know, Eddie Murphy, that's bull. That's bull. That's bull. For real though, I mean, if it's true, you know, hey man, power to you, Eddie Murphy. But I'm just saying, man, don't sound right, man. That's not a good. He should have said something else.
Years later, though, that same incident came roaring back when Octavia St. Laurent, a respected transgender activist, spoke out publicly about Eddie's alleged secret life. She didn't hold back. Octavia accused Eddie of hiding behind a macho public image while privately being involved with transgender women. Her words were sharp. She claimed that Eddie wasn't the only one doing it, but that he was one of the biggest names keeping up a double life. Octavia also criticized how she said he treated those he was involved with, claiming that he acted ashamed and went to great lengths to hide those connections. She said that men like Eddie project strength in public but live in fear behind closed doors. Her comment set off another media storm, reigniting old debates about identity, secrecy, and the immense pressure that fame puts on people to maintain a certain image. In Hollywood, where every move is watched, being your true self can feel like a career risk, and Octavia made it clear that truth always finds its way out, no matter how deep it's buried. Her boldness inspired others in the industry to speak up about their own experiences, forcing the public to look past the glitz and glamour and see the reality behind it all. Eddie, however, stayed completely silent this time. No interviews, no statements, nothing. But that silence only made people talk more. Was he protecting his privacy, or was there something he just didn't want to confirm? Either way, Octavia's words kept his name buzzing in conversations about authenticity, image, and the hidden struggles of stardom. Over time, the narrative around Eddie shifted from being just a comedian and movie star to a man constantly dodging rumors and trying to protect his brand. Behind the confident grin and effortless charm, there seemed to be a deeper tension, one between who he was and who the world expected him to be. Friends and insiders have hinted for years that Eddie's life off camera was far more complicated than anyone realized. Some even say he lived in constant fear of exposure, that he worked tirelessly to control every detail of his image, even if it meant hiding parts of himself. He became a master at keeping secrets, shaping his public persona so tightly that no one could see what was really going on underneath. This isn't just a story about a 1997 scandal. It's about the unspoken battles of celebrity life, the constant pressure to perform not only on stage, but in real life too. Eddie Murphy's laughter made millions happy, but behind those jokes may have been a man struggling to balance truth, reputation, and survival in an industry that doesn't forgive imperfection. What really takes this whole story to another level is the part that Diddy, Yes, the mogul himself might have played in all of it. For years, whispers around Hollywood have claimed that Diddy didn't just know about Eddie Murphy's secret life. He might have used that knowledge to pull him even deeper into his circle. Sources close to the scene say Diddy invited Eddie to his infamous private parties, the ones that regular folks could only dream about. And those nights were nothing like the polished red carpet events you see on TV. These were wild, exclusive gatherings where the rules of fame and masculinity got flipped upside down. People say those parties blurred every line, where power, temptation, and vulnerability all mixed together under flashing lights and whispered deals. And according to insiders, that's where Eddie was encouraged to loosen up, to explore parts of himself he kept locked away from the public eye. Some of those who claim to have been around back then say that Eddie was tested at these events, told to drop the macho act that made him a Hollywood icon. They say he was pushed to do things that clashed with the image he'd spent years building, things that, as some put it, made him lose his man card. But instead of being shunned, Eddie reportedly found himself welcomed, even celebrated for joining in. That's when people started realizing these weren't just parties, they were power games. Diddy, being the strategic businessman he is, allegedly saw major value in having Eddie in his inner circle. Not only did Eddie bring star power, he also brought legitimacy, a sense that Hollywood's elite were all connected in this secret world. The more Eddie showed up, the stronger that bond became, forming a tight-knit web of influence, loyalty, and silence among the industry's biggest names. If these claims are true, it paints a picture of Hollywood far darker and more complex than most fans could ever imagine. Fame wasn't just about movies or talent, it was about understanding the unspoken rules of the game, the favors, the alliances, the quiet deals that could make or break careers. Insiders say Eddie's success wasn't just luck or skill, it was about knowing how to move in that hidden space without ever getting caught. Behind the glitz, Eddie was said to be walking a tightrope. On one side, the family-friendly movie star who embodied confidence and charm. On the other, a man living moments that challenged the image he worked so hard to protect. Those close to him have hinted that this double life took a serious toll, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. The pressure to stay perfect in the public eye while keeping secrets in private was like living two different lives at once. Now, the rumor mill has long churned with talk about Eddie's sexuality, whispers that he was interested in men, but Eddie's never confirmed or denied anything, leaving fans and tabloids to fill in the blanks. What's fascinating is what people believe he did once he caught wind of those rumors. Insiders say he started sneaking jokes about gay people into his stand-up routines, not just for laughs, but as a shield. By joking about it first, he could control the narrative and make everyone think, oh, he's just messing around. That move, according to some, was pure strategy, the classic celebrity defense mechanism. By making it funny, Eddie could diffuse suspicion before it got serious. He could stay in charge of the conversation, making the world laugh while protecting the parts of himself he didn't want anyone to see. It was smart, but also sad, because it showed just how much pressure there is to maintain an image in an industry that judges everything. But here's the part that really stunned people. Those who claim to have been close to him say that behind closed doors, Eddie had a completely different vibe. They say he had a side that loved to wear luxurious lingerie. Yes, lingerie. That revelation alone caught everyone off guard, especially because this was the same Eddie known for his raw, sometimes cutting comedy about LGBTQ+ people. Fans were confused. How could a man who mocked that community also be secretly living in a way that contradicted those jokes? That contradiction made people question everything. Was Eddie laughing with people, or was he laughing at himself? Some even believed those jokes were a defense mechanism, a way to deflect attention from his own inner conflict. Because sometimes when people hide their pain, they turn it into humor just to survive. Either way, it added a whole new layer to his legacy. The Hollywood icon who made millions laugh might have been fighting battles no one knew about. Between Diddy's alleged influence, the shadowy parties, and Eddie's carefully built image, it became clear. The real story wasn't just about fame, but about the price of keeping secrets in a world that punishes authenticity. And this, lingerie, whispers and all, was only the beginning of what insiders claim went down in Diddy's mysterious inner circle. Now, this next part is where things really start to blur the line between friendship and something way deeper. Eddie Murphy was said to have a tight inner circle, not just buddies, but people who might have been more than friends. And one name that's come up again and again through the years is R&B legend Johnny Gill. Their bond has always sparked questions, and the stories surrounding them are nothing short of jaw-dropping. The whispers about Eddie and Johnny go way back, and they've never really gone away. After Johnny's breakup with his girlfriend in 2005, She shocked everyone by admitting that one of the main reasons she left was because she couldn't handle the strange relationship Johnny had with Eddie Murphy. She said it was weird, hard to explain, but very real. That confession made headlines fast, and people started putting two and two together. Adding fuel to the fire, reports surfaced that Johnny was actually living in Eddie's guest house for a while. Imagine being Nicole Murphy, trying to hold your marriage together while your husband's best friend lives right on the property. That kind of setup definitely raised eyebrows, and for Nicole, it was probably the last straw. You can only fight for so long when things don't add up, and for her, that tangled situation may have been the breaking point. Then came one of the most explosive moments when a man known as Flash, someone who'd been seen at Diddy's notorious parties, came forward with a story that made everyone stop scrolling. Flash claimed that he personally witnessed Eddie and Johnny sharing an intimate kiss at one of Diddy's private events in the Hollywood Hills. He didn't describe it as playful or friendly. He said it was passionate. That word alone sent social media into meltdown. If someone who was actually in the room says it happened, it's hard for people to brush it off. Decades of Whispers suddenly found itself at the center of another major debate about identity, secrecy, and what really goes on behind those luxury mansion gates. For decades, Eddie has managed to dodge these kinds of rumors, brushing them off with humor or silence, but they always come back around. And now, with Diddy's name caught up in legal drama and old stories resurfacing, people are re-examining the past with fresh eyes. It's no longer just gossip, it's part of a larger story about fame, power, and the unspoken rules of Hollywood survival. But even with all the controversy, there's been a shift in how people react. Today, a lot of social media users are saying, who even cares anymore? Fans argue that if Eddie is gay or bisexual, it's his life, and no one's business but his own. People are more accepting now, saying every person deserves to live their truth without fear. But others point out that Nicole Murphy had to live through the confusion, the whispers, and the emotional roller coaster that came with those secrets. Those close to Nicole say she had been warned long before she walked away. Some told her that there were rumors about Eddie and Johnny that just wouldn't go away, and that eventually she'd have to face them head on. Living under that kind of pressure, raising kids, protecting your image, and trying to keep a marriage together must have been exhausting. For Nicole, keeping the Murphy name after the divorce wasn't just about fame, it was about holding on to her identity and the family she built through all that chaos. She earned that name through love, heartbreak, and resilience, and she wasn't gonna let it be stripped away just because of what people whispered behind her back. And when you take a step back and look at Eddie's life with all of this in mind, it becomes clear that fame isn't just built on talent or charm. It's a balancing act. Managing relationships, keeping up appearances, and sometimes hiding the truth just to stay afloat in the industry. Behind every laugh, there's often a story no one sees. Some insiders believe Eddie knew exactly what he was doing, that he understood how to play Hollywood's game better than anyone. The Whispers claim he was smart enough to recognize Diddy's influence early on and realize that being close to him could open doors that most people never even got near. The theory goes that Eddie was willing to go along with certain scenes, certain expectations, not necessarily because it was who he was, but because it was what he had to do to stay relevant in a ruthless business. That's why so many people say his success wasn't just about talent, it was about strategy, charm, and knowing how to move in silence. Whether every rumor is true or not, the sheer consistency of these stories says something. It paints a picture of a man caught between authenticity and ambition, between who he really was and who the world wanted him to be. For Nicole, that reality was too heavy to carry. She chose peace, she chose her kids, and she chose herself. And for Eddie, the man who made the world laugh, it seems the biggest performance might have been the one he gave off stage. A lot of people believe that Eddie's willingness to play along with the Hollywood game gave him access to circles that most stars could only dream of. It wasn't just his jokes or charm that made him a superstar. It was the way he learned to move behind the scenes, where real power gets traded in whispers and favors. Insiders say Diddy saw that in him, saw what Eddie was willing to do to stay connected, and used it to pull him deeper into those elite rooms where careers were made overnight. Sources claim Diddy opened the door to that world, introducing Eddie to industry heavyweights, producers, and investors who could change his destiny with a single phone call. But here's the twist. That success came with a price. Many now believe Eddie's whole ladies' man image was more than just confidence. It was a shield, a carefully built illusion to keep questions at bay while he lived a much more complicated reality off camera. Behind the laughs and movie deals, some say Eddie was carrying a secret too heavy to share. If he had come out and lived his truth, he might have risked everything. Endorsements, leading roles, even his fan base. Hollywood back then wasn't ready for that kind of honesty, especially from a megastar. So, according to the rumors, Eddie decided to do what he had to do to protect his empire and play the part that would keep the checks coming and the cameras rolling. No one can say for sure what really went down except Eddie himself, but the patterns are impossible to ignore. His name keeps coming up. His connections to Diddy keep resurfacing, and his silence just keeps people guessing. It's like the story never truly fades. It just changes shape as new pieces come out. And when you look at how calculated Hollywood can be, it's easy to see how someone might sacrifice honesty just to survive. But the cost of that choice, it showed up in his personal life. Nicole Murphy, the woman who once stood proudly beside him, was left to pick up the pieces, trying to hold her family together while the world whispered about her husband. The emotional weight of those secrets, the late-night headlines, the constant questions. That kind of pressure can break even the strongest bond. And for Nicole, that was the final straw. At the end of the day, maybe Eddie thought he was doing what he had to do to stay on top. Maybe he saw it as the price of fame, trading truth for longevity in a ruthless industry. But fans can't help but wonder, what would have happened if he'd just been real from the start? Would his legacy look different? Would his marriage have survived? So what do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a story. When I uncover the real truth behind your favorite stars, new deep dives drop every week, so stay tuned because the next one's about to get even wilder.